Aloha, this is Tom Lesher with the weekly Pele Report. This one is it's an astrological forecast for May 30th of the year 2012. And this can be a turning point of a week in your life that has such powerful significance that this may be a long report. I try to keep it to 15 minutes, but there's a lot going on here. Now we know that we just had a solar eclipse and that on June 4th, okay, Monday, we have a lunar eclipse. This is the full moon with the Earth coming right in between the sun and the moon. Yeah, and creating this eclipse. The light and the dark. And this light and dark is a dynamic that is being played out in very many ways that I'm going to discuss with you right now. Exciting. At least I'm excited. All right, so here's the way that it goes. Not only that, but for the last time in our life, yes, the next time is in 2117. Yes, over 100 years from now, is the planet Venus is going to pass over the face of the sun. And this is on Tuesday, June 5th. And if you have the right glasses and the right way to look at it, you may see this tiny little dot. It's too small. It's much smaller than the moon, so you're not going to get this lunar solar eclipse like we had before. But Venus is going to eclipse the sun, passing at its closest point to us. The goddess is coming closest to us this week, and then crossing at the same declination right over the face of the sun. Very, very powerful. It did this last time in 2004. It's like a set. 2004 and 2012, and the next time is 2117 and 2125. Now, what does this signify? Well, it signifies a lot. Let's go into it a little more of the astronomy of it, because right now, and probably tonight, is the last night you will be able to see Venus in the night sky. We know that over the past few months you've seen that bright, brilliant star in the west in the evening sky. Well, it has now gone lower and lower and lower, and it is coming closer and closer to the sun. And the Mayans called that Venus going into the underworld. She's so close to the sun, we're not going to see her. And then she passes over the face of the sun and then rises in the east. About 2 weeks from now, June 13th, you may be able to see then Venus initially rise in the east before the sunrise. So she turns from an evening star into a morning star. And there's this transition in the underworld. It's like the death of the old goddess. And this death of the old goddess is the death of the old goddess of Scorpio, because that is the sign that she was in the last time she visited the underworld in this way. And she's beginning this new, it's a synodic cycle, it's 584 days. And she's beginning this new synodic cycle on June the 13th as she rises in the east. And this time, it will be the goddess of Gemini, because this is occurring just like the solar eclipse in the sign of Gemini, and this lunar eclipse coming up on Monday. So we have the lunar eclipse on Monday in Gemini, and right in the heart, right in the middle of Gemini, and then Venus transiting over the sun. So we need to really understand this archetype of Gemini to really get down to the heart of the matter as to just what all of this means. And when we look at this, we think of Castor and Pollux as the twins, and they are the two bright stars in the sign, in the constellation of the twins. However, what is very often overlooked are the two female twins, Clytemnestra and Helen. For indeed, Zeus came down turned himself into a swan and impregnated Leda, who was the wife of King Tyndrachius. And she gave birth to 2 sets of twins. One of them were the kings, and one of them were from Zeus. So one set of twins was mortal, yes, and this is Castor and Clytemnestra. And then the other was immortal, Pollux and Helen. And these two sets of twins have a very unique story. And we have to give that story today. Yeah. Number one, Castor and Pollux, they were close. They fought together. They were they were known for being tremendous fighters and horsemen and charioteers. Castor actually died in battle against some other warriors of a semi-divine nature, and he therefore was mortal and he could die. Pollux, though he was immortal and could not die, he did not want to live without his brother, and he pleaded with Zeus to please let me go. And so Zeus threw him up into the night sky, into the constellation with his brother. And so those two are there today. And now for the women. Yes, we have this earthly and the spiritual, the cosmic and the mortal, the immortal and the mortal. Yeah, the spiritual and the earthly. This is this whole duality, the light and the dark, the spiritual and the material, the immortal and the mortal. This is all this theme that is going on now that is really being developed upon in our psyches, in our lives, and I'll just explain a little more of it. Because here we have, with the women, very powerful. Number one, Helen started the Trojan War. Yes, she was so beautiful, and she was taken by Paris away, and she started this Trojan War. She was very beautiful and very passive. She did nothing to stop her abduction, nothing to stop the war, would not go back to King Agamemnon. Yeah? So she was, really a very passive, beautiful, spiritual, light. Remember, she's the immortal, spiritual one, okay? The sister of Pollux, the two immortals. And then we have Clytemnestra. And Clytemnestra, she was quite the other. She was passionate. She was of the darker, earthly, mortal realm. She actually was in an act of revenge against King Agamemnon when he returned from the war. She slew her husband. Now this is seen as an act of passion, of the dark force, but we will also look at her as seeing that, number one, her daughter from the king sacrificed, and she was married before King Agamemnon. Agamemnon killed her husband and forced her into marriage. Okay, so she was forced into marriage, she was raped, and then her daughter was sacrificed so that the ships could have good weather to sail off to the war. So when he returned, she struck him down. And so we see, then we have this earthly and heavenly, the passive and the aggressive, the light and the dark. This is the sign of the twins. This is the Gemini. They have a hard time making up their minds. And they can sometimes be seen as Kokopelli, yes, or as the trickster, as Coyote. And they can sometimes feel as if they are untrustworthy, or that they may change their minds and create havoc and deception. Because of this going back and forth, this is the shadow. This is the anima and the animus. This is the conscious and the unconscious. So during this time, during this week, and this cycle of Venus, now she's going to emerge on June the 13th as the goddess of Gemini for the next 584 days of this synodic cycle. She has the overtone of Gemini. And this overtone of Gemini is 1 foot in heaven and 1 foot on earth, or 1 foot in the light and 1 foot in the dark. Just as we have this light spiritual triangle of the crown and the third eye, raising us up and giving us ideals and hope and faith. And then we have the dark triangle, the lower, the survival, the jealousy, the envy, the fear of death. We are the union of light and dark. As human beings, we are the synthesis. We are the connection between the spirit and matter. Every breath that we take, every heartbeat that we have, we connect the unseen with the seen, our imagination with our physical body. And so this is a time period. And this time period is a time period of uniting. And I've spoken of 2012 as the year of preparing for union. And this preparing for union involves a decision, a conscious decision. Just like in the tarot card of the lovers, we see the lovers card is again the union of the light and the dark. And we can say the union of the upper triangle and the lower triangle is the heart chakra, the Star of David. Yes, you bring those two triangles together, they create the Star of David. And this is the heart chakra. This is the place of union. And this week in particular, on Monday and Tuesday, particularly Tuesday, as Venus crosses over the face of the sun, this can be a time of decision. Conscious decision. Consciously uniting our masculine and our feminine self. Our ideals with our real. Yes, our future with our past. This is a time, and just like in the Lover's card, this union requires this decision, and this decision is one of leaving behind. Those who step into marriage leave behind the single life. Those who step into a new job leave behind the freedom of unemployment. Those who step into this new change, every decision, every change involves a letting go. And I encourage you then at this time, this week can be a week of strong time where you are pushed to make a decision, to make a choice. And this Gemini, you will have the pull of the light and the dark, overly passive or overly aggressive or assertive. And we walk this knife edge of balance towards the ultimate union with ourself, with spirit and matter. So, the mantra for this week is that as I unite the dark with the light, I shine like a beacon in the night. As I unite the dark with the light, I shine like a beacon in the night. May you choose balance, integrity, and most of all, choose to create your future this week. Aloha, namaste, so much love. Talk at you later.